Welcome to One on One. I'm your host Shane Reinert, and today my guest is local sports announcer Dan Albers. Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me.
Dan, I've got quite a list of questions here. We'll start off with how did you get interested in broadcasting?
I think it was when I was a pretty early age. I just remember following it a lot. Kind of in the backyard playing sports, kind of doing the play-by-play thing when I was younger. And my brothers were probably the better athletes out of the two, so I wasn't really, I guess, that good of an athlete. And I figured that was the best way for me to follow sports was kind of doing the play-by-play. And then I kind of got a liking, if you can believe it or not, to Howard Cosell. He kind of drove a lot of people crazy, but I used to make fun of him. So that kind of got me started in the whole thing.
Okay. When did you cover your first game and who played?
Wow, let's see. Well, I covered games doing the camera here for Anderson Community Television with Brad and Greg Ellis, and that was back in 96, 97. But my first game, I think, was with Greg Ellis, and it was an Anderson High School game. Not real sure who they played, but that was probably one of my first games that I called. How
long have you been covering the games?
In some aspect, probably since 95, 96, so it's been quite a while.
Okay.
So,
what sport do you like covering the most and why?
I'd say the two sports I cover the most that I like is probably football and basketball. But basketball I like more because it's more fast pace. Let me take that back. The men's game, nothing against the women, but the men's game is a little bit more fast paced, and the college game is it's quicker. So it's easier. You got to be on top of your game. You got to be well. So I think that I would say if I had to pick one over the other, it'd probably be basketball.
Is there a sport that you haven't covered yet that you would like to cover?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Lacrosse. I would like to try. I've seen that Anderson plays a lot. It looks like a pretty good, high, fast-paced kind of a game. I think that would be a very, very interesting sport to cover.
Of all the games you've covered and announced that, what game stands out the most?
I'd have to say probably the 2007 state championship for Anderson. And there's a lot of reasons why. I think the main reason was I was a former player at Anderson, and we were just god-awful. And to see where that program has grown to where it was, and here I am at Paul Brown or Massillon Stadium, whatever you want to call it, in front of 20,000 people, and I'm one of the ones that's up there announcing from my high school for the state championship. I mean, it literally gave me goosebumps. I got, I started crying a little bit just because knowing where that program was and where the program is now, it was just a phenomenal feeling. And to see all the former players come back, guys that I played with that were so excited about your program. So I'd have to say that was, to try to keep my emotions on that game was very difficult.
I bet. If you could cover any past sports event, what would it be?
I would have to go. One would probably be the 75 World Series with, you talking about like that, something like that? Yeah, 75, 76 World Series with the Reds. I would have loved to carry something like that. And then I'm a big UC fan, so I would say either that or something with UC, like when they won the championships 3 years in a row, or even the 92 Final Four. But I would think right now I'd have to say the 75 World Series probably.
So what do you like to do more? Do you like to do the play-by-play or you like to do color?
I like them both, but I'd say play-by-play would probably be I have more, I don't know if you want to say control, but you have to focus a lot more in play-by-play than you do in color. Color, you're just kind of making the comments. Play-by-play, you really have to know what's going on. Stats, you gotta be on top of everything. So I say play-by-play would probably be the one I'd like to do the most.
What would be your dream job in broadcasting?
I'd have to say anything with UC. Football, Dan Horde has got my dream job. Broadcast for the Bearcats in football and basketball. Now he's doing the Bengals. He's got the job that I would love to. Anything involved with Cincinnati sports, obviously it's my hometown team. Doing that, I've got a pretty nice job right now, if you want to call it a job, broadcasting from my high school. So that's pretty nice. But to top it all off, I would say any kind of a UC job would be great for me.
What's more exciting, watching one of your favorite teams play on TV or announcing a game at one of your one of the games you cover now?
I think it's more exciting to watch a game for me and not broadcast it. Broadcasting, you got to kind of watch what you're saying and watch what you do. When you're watching the game, I can be a fan. I can maybe cuss. I can do whatever I want. You know what I mean? You can really get into a game where when you're doing play-by-play or announcing a game, you have to be really objective. If you're announcing for somebody that's not your school or not, you really have to be objective. You can't pick a side. And so I would say probably, like I said, I'm a big UC fan, so probably watching a UC event is probably something that I really get into.
What's the hardest game you had to cover? I mean, maybe things just went wrong or what was it?
Well, as far as covering a game, I did a soccer game this year for Anderson and Turpin, and you go from a fast-paced, kind of a football game into soccer's just, you're passing a ball, and there's really not a lot of, for me, a lot of movement. I played soccer too, so that's probably one of the hardest. But as far as going wrong and stuff, I still have issues. Internet goes down if you're doing a live internet. You might have a tape. I had a game the other day. I was running out of tape and didn't have an extra tape. I had to hurry up and scrap around. So there's always something that pops up, and you just really have to have all the equipment and be ready and be prepared in case something like that happens.
So what is your favorite game that you've covered this year?
This year, gosh, man, I would have to probably say. Well, there's really, I don't know, I'd say probably Cincinnati State actually just played Lakeland, and I knew that it was going to be a good game. So that was probably one of the games this year that I covered that I was looking forward to covering, and it ended up not being as great of a game as I thought it was going to be. And then I always get excited for, Friday night for me, for an Anderson football game. I get excited for a game on Friday right around 2, 3 o'clock, just like the kids did. And I remember getting like that in high school. So all the Anderson games were always great for me to broadcast because, again, it was my old alma mater. So,
if you could give any advice to anybody who wanted to get into sports broadcasting, what advice would you give them?
Well, I'd say start young because I'm 43 years old, 44 years old, and it's hard to get into the field. You have to be persistent. When you go to these schools and they give you the opportunity to work for the Reds, the Bengals, whoever intern, you need to work it. You need to network yourself big time. I think that is a huge, huge thing. I think a lot of the time it's on who you know. I just think that networking is probably the biggest advice, and follow your dream and stick to it. I mean, I'm 44 and still trying to chase my dream, and hopefully someday something will stick. And I think me and you probably are in the same boat. We're both wanting to try to get to the same thing, and I think just not giving up either, and just sticking with what you want to do.
That's some great advice. Well, my guest has been Dan Albers, and he announces games for the Anderson Redskins, for the Cincinnati State Surge, and has done some for Mount St. Joe football as well. And he owns USBN Sports. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Shane Reinert, and you've been watching One on One.